You know that feeling? When everything's meant to be automated, running like clockwork, and then nothing? Or even worse, you get those failure alerts, and suddenly you realize, oh no, I need to get this message out, like now. We've all been there, right? Staring at a broken process, needing a quick fix.
Exactly. Those are the high stakes moments where having a manual backup isn't just nice, it's absolutely critical.
Yeah.
And this is precisely the kind of thing Kirti Gawami, who's an associate functional consultant over at Tayana Solutions, ran into.
Yeah.
She wasn't just thinking about it theoretically. A customer actually came to her with this specific need.
Right, so let's paint the picture here. Kirti's customer, they had this ongoing issue. Their system, the one sending out important emails automatically, it would sometimes just fail. And it wasn't trivial. It meant vital information wasn't getting delivered on time. And trying to resend those manually, well, it was super slow, prone to errors.
Real headache. Imagine chasing down every single failed email and resending it one by one. A total bottleneck.
Definitely. So what's great here is how Kirti tackled this this very practical problem. She used the trigger by action feature within the business event setup.
Okay, so a business event is like a defined process in the system. Right?
Exactly. And this trigger by action thing, it basically adds a manual button to start a specific part of that process. In this case, sending an email.
Okay. So how does that manual override actually work? What did Kirti do?
Well, the first step was either setting up a new business event or tweaking an existing one. The really critical change was setting the trigger type to action.
So it's like flipping a switch from automatic to manual. Instead of waiting for some condition, it waits for a person to click.
Precisely. Then building on that, Kirti linked an email template to this event. That template just defines, what the email actually says.
Got it. Template attached. What's next?
Then, and this is where it gets really user-friendly, she updated a generic inquiry. Think of that like a custom report or a view of data in the system.
Okay, like dashboard or list.
Yeah, exactly. And updating that inquiry made an action button show up right there on the screen within that data view.
Oh, I see. So the user doesn't have to rely on the potentially failing automation. They can go to this inquiry, see the records they need.
Right. Select the specific ones they need to send that urgent email to.
And just click the button.
Yep.
And the email goes out.
Yep. Click the button, email sent. Kirti even used an example, something like a GI sales versus forecast event. She kept the names similar, but the key was changing that triggered condition to trigger by action.
Okay, and here's the interesting part, I guess. When you choose trigger by action, it just skips over all the usual rules or conditions you'd normally set for the automation, right?
Totally. Bypasses them. It's a direct instruction. Send this email to these selected records now. Doesn't matter if the usual auto-trigger conditions are met or not.
Right. So that gives the user that direct manual power to send the notification. And from the user side, in that generic inquiry, how does it look?
It's pretty simple. A little checkbox appears next to each record, so you can pick one or pick many. And there's also like a little 3-dot menu with action, or even action all options. Makes it quick.
Convenient. What's really smart about Kirti's approach is that it admits, well, that even the best automation isn't perfect. Things can go wrong.
True.
Building in this manual trigger adds a layer of resilience. It means important messages aren't stuck just because of a technical glitch.
And the result was clear, right? Kirti confirmed, click the button, email gets sent. Plus, the system logs it in the event history, showing it was a manual trigger, so it's all tracked and verifiable.
Yeah, that traceability is important too. It makes you think, how often have you run into that frustration? Automation fails right when you need it most, and you're scrambling.
More times than I'd like to admit, probably.
Right. Kirti's solution gives back some control in those moments.
So, yeah, the key takeaway from this deep dive really is that these action events within the business event setup are a super valuable manual override. When automation stumbles and you absolutely need to communicate urgently, this gives you a solid way to do it.
Definitely. And, if you're listening and facing similar struggles, those times automation hiccups and you need a reliable way for urgent messages, maybe consider reaching out to Tayana Solutions. Their expertise, like Kirti showed with this practical fix, might be just what you need to make sure your communication stays smooth. Even when things don't go exactly as planned, they can help figure out how to implement something similar for you.
Yeah, definitely food for thought if you've ever been caught in that communication bind. It's all about having that crucial backup plan ready.